as I'm projecting myself now into the shoes of some entrepreneur, someone running a business, this personality is filled with so much insistence and such a high standard, right? We're going to make this happen. We've got to make this happen. And I think there's a lot of musty language, right? That masturbation. But at the same time, that insistence, I think, can coincide with an acceptance of whatever comes, an acknowledgement, whatever materializes, that they have a preference and they can accept what happens. If you imagine Steve Jobs were here, practicing your philosophy would have made him happier, no doubt. Can say that about anyone. But how would it have impacted his work?
Well, I'm afraid, Josh, I don't know much about his personality.
Everything had to happen. We must do this. You must ship that out by yesterday. Life at Apple with Steve Jobs was one must after the next. It's the opposite of unconditional acceptance. I will not accept this unless that exacting demand is met. With that kind of mindset, and it's not extraordinarily unusual. It may be extreme, but not so unusual. How can such a business owner anticipate their execution, their performance would be affected by embracing your philosophy?
Oh, that's a good question, and that brings up another point that we didn't touch on, and that is the various meanings of must and should, and different disciplines can use the same words with very different meanings. So, for example, the word interest in social psychology means one thing. Affinity to another person is interest, and in finances, interest means a totally different thing. So, same word with very different meanings. So it's the same with must. Must has a psychopathological meaning, which means it's the end of the world if you don't do what you must. You're a bad person. But it also could have a motivational meaning, and that is it's highly preferable you do what I suggest. And so it's a preferential must or should, not an absolute must or should. And the way to tell the difference, or one way, there are many ways, is to see if you are anxious, angry, or depressed when you think in must terms, and if you're not, and if you're just using it to motivate your employees or to express passion, then that use of must is very different than the use of must, which leads to emotional disturbance. So I don't know whether Steve Jobs would have gotten better results if he didn't use must, or if he was disturbed when emotionally disturbed when his employees didn't do what he thought they must. But there are those two possibilities. And he might have just been using must to express his passion and his intent on achieving what he wanted to achieve.